Hello, dear. It's Heather, and you're watching Save Today with Heather J. I'm somebody who spent her entire adult life living paycheck to paycheck and being one life event away from financial crisis. So I've created this budget and this budgeting channel as a way to change my ways and create a better future than the financial past I've been through. I am not somebody who is in any way some sort of financial advisor. This is not a how-to channel. This is just somebody stumbling through trying to get a grasp on their financial situation. I definitely make a lot of mistakes. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for a lifetime of mistakes. So if you are interested in just kind of seeing the journey of where somebody is at who's stumbling through and how I'm trying to make better choices and how I'm having to fight and make the wrong choices over and over and over and over again, because isn't that what we do in life, in all areas of life, is fall down and get back up again? That is the story of my life, especially the story of my financial life, but in all things. So, if you're interested in kind of joining me along in my bumbling little journey, welcome to me. Today, I'm going to be going over my August paycheck number 2 closeout. My months, when I set them up, are based on what paycheck the first of the month falls in. My rent is due on the first of the month every month, and it is set up on auto pay. I get paid every other Friday, and so I don't get paid on the 1st and the 15th. So the only way I can make sure I have the funds in my account on the 1st is to have whatever paycheck that is be the 1st. So for me, August paycheck number 2 goes from August 11th to August 24th, and my September will start on August 25th. So almost a week left of August. My September starts basically a week early. And so most of my budgets will be slightly off schedule, off the traditional month, at least here in the beginning. I suppose it's possible at some point I will get caught up and ahead enough that I can have a month's worth of funds in my account and just know that regardless of where those paychecks lie, there will be that rent due on the 1st, or that money for rent on the 1st. That's not where I'm at now, and that's not something that I see on a very close horizon. So that's how I set my paychecks up. When I set up my estimate, I take my hourly wage times an estimated hours per week times the amount of weeks in that pay period. So obviously for a paycheck, it's 2 weeks. For the month, most times it's 4 weeks. And then I take out 25% of my taxes. So for this paycheck number 2 setup, I had $20.85 times 38 hours times 2 weeks, take away 25%. So then my estimate based on that was $1,888.45. This paycheck, I actually brought in $1,457.83, which was $269.38 more than I had estimated. And this is because in this paycheck is when this is the paycheck that I was working the week of my son's surgery. There's a 2-week delay, 3-week delay on when you get your checks. I had requested paid time off for the day of and the day after my son's surgery. And of course, when you request paid time off, the assumption is that you have your 2 days of request and then your regular 2 days that you just don't work and don't get paid. But that is not what happened. I was scheduled the other 5 days. So I got 2 days paid at $20.85 times 8 hours each day. And I worked whatever my 5 days was, that 38 hours in that 5 days. So basically I have 2 extra days on here. And it may be the week prior to that, or 2 weeks prior to that, I'm not sure at this point, and I probably could go back and check my calendar, but I'm not gonna. There was one day where there was some pre-surgery check-in stuff we had to do, and I requested that day off, and same thing happened where I was still scheduled 5 days around that day off. So there is a significantly larger check this week than there ever normally is. I do keep a line for my of other in my income. I don't ever have a consistent other income. I don't have a second job. I don't receive child support. I don't have any investments or annuities or rental or anything that would be giving me some sort of recurring payments. But I do have that in there because occasionally there will be something that shows up that I haven't planned for or is a one-off. And so that's in there to fit that. My estimate is 0, that I didn't get anything extra this month. So my income estimate, again, $1188.45, received $1457.83, which was $269.38 more than I thought I was going to receive. That's so great. So great. And then the next thing I go over is my fixed expenses, which is all of my bills, the things I'm required to pay. I have to pay them whether I like it or not. I don't have any input on what those fees are going to be. They just need to be paid month after month after month. So this is going to be where my rent is. This is where the utilities are. This is where, well, you know, bills, life. So the first thing on here is my utilities. That was estimated to be $284.68. I did pay $285.18. So right now my utilities are billed to the landlord. The landlord pays them, and then I pay the landlord back. I have a $20 service fee or convenience fee that goes with that, and then I go to the post office to get a money order. The cost of the money orders went up this month. They had been $1.75. They are now $2. And so that's where this difference is. So that's what that 280, that's what that is. I had 2 bills that needed to be paid with this, and both of them did get paid. That's caught up. Then my phone, the estimate for my phone was $473.02. Again, that's not my monthly phone bill. That was my, I had to put July's bill into a payment arrangement because I had to put June's bill into a payment arrangement because I had to take that money to redirect that towards all of the other things that we were paying at the end of June and the beginning of July. So if you recall, I was working really hard to get my possessions sent to me through U-Haul, and that was quite the financial drain. We had a car repair that was happening at the same time where the repair ended up being nearly double what the estimate was. If the original estimate had been that high, we would not have done the work, but once the work got started, we were kind of committed. And we had to pay for the a prepayment half up front for the copay for that surgery. So all of that was happening. And because of that, my June phone bill got bumped, and I made payment arrangements. That got paid in July. Still fighting all of those things in July, so my July phone bill got bumped into August. So I did pay July's phone bill, and now August's phone bill has been bumped into September. That should be done in September, and we'll talk about that a little bit more as we get a little bit further down. I did have a credit card payment for $200, and $200 is exactly what came out for that, so there's no difference there. I had a subscription for $10.82. That's exactly what came out, no difference there. I have this bill for old rent. I was hoping I was going to get paid in this, or get started paying on in this month. And I call this old rent, but this is things like repairs and service fees and things from moving out of my last place. I had a bill for $709 in that, and I was set up payment arrangements for $70.94. When I called to begin my payment process, the gal I spoke to let me know that they couldn't do it for a year because what I owed wasn't high enough. So she gave me the $70.94. She did tell me that if I pay with American Express, there was no payment service fees. But if I paid with any other credit card, Visa, MasterCard, debit card, then there would be a $13.95 processing fee. She let me know I could go to buy a prepaid American Express card and those fees go away. So I did explore that option, and I went to a couple of different places to find an American Express prepaid card. They're not as prevalent as they once were. There was a ton of Visa, half as many MasterCard, and no American Express in a couple of places. When I did find an American Express prepaid card, the amount of fees that were attached to that were almost at that $13.95. And then because I'm me, and I know the struggles I face getting cash out to go somewhere, to use cash to pay something, I knew that was going to be a struggle. And using my debit card to fill a prepaid American Express card was not an option, because apparently what I'm prepaying is a debit card. You can't use a debit card to pay a debit card. I don't understand it, but at that point I knew, because I'm me and I know what my weaknesses are, that I wasn't going to go somewhere, pull out the cash, which would have been a withdrawal fee. At the grocery store it's 50 cents. At a non-bank ATM, it can be up to $5. So that was going to be a fee. Then I was going to have a reload fee and the card fee, and that just was not going to be a thing that happened. So I had kind of resigned myself to needing to pay the $13.95 servicing fee. That way I could get it done, I could get it set up, and it would automatically pull, would have been the $84, whatever. But when I called to make that payment, the gentleman I spoke to said, actually, no, I got an automated system that talked about prepaid, and that automated system let me know that I could mail it in with a money order or a check, and there was no service fees. So I decided to go ahead and do that. So I went and I paid the $2 money order fee, and I put that in the mail. I did speak to somebody on the phone and make sure that that was okay. So that's what this difference is. This difference, I was estimated at $70.94. I paid $73.60, which is over budget, or over estimate, I guess, by $2.66. So that's the $2 money order fee and the stamp, 66 cents. So that's what that was. I'm happy to pay the $2.66 as fees. And this isn't set up on a specific date. I'm just going to go in and mail it when I go in and mail it. And that's not going to give me extra fines and fees for this particular bill. Then I had a bill for Banner Health for $50. I was hoping I would be able to get paid this month, and I did make that happen. This is a one-time bill, not a recurring bill. This was for a COVID test back in November of 2021, I believe. And the first COVID test that I came back positive, I didn't have a fee for, but the second test, my company wanted me to have a second test and have that come back negative before I could go back to work, and insurance wouldn't cover the second test. I believe it's because, I don't know if it's because there was two within a 2-week time frame, or if it's because this was when at-home testing was becoming available, and so now the expectation was you would go and do it at home, and I did not do that. In any case, it's irrelevant. It was a $50 bill, and I wanted to get that paid this month, and I was able to make that happen. So estimate 50, paid 50, no difference there. And then the very last thing I had on my estimate for this week was a huge stretch goal. And this is the AR Strat. This was a copay for a medical equipment from, I don't even know how long ago. I didn't realize that was there. I thought I had paid it. I clearly had not. Either I hadn't or I hadn't paid the full amount. And this was only $41.66. I have been very aggressively trying to get some of my debts and paid down, so that when October comes and student loan payments start, that's my only focus. And when I put this $41.66 on there, it was a huge stretch for me. I didn't think that I was going to make that happen, because I knew I was still playing catch up with my utilities, and I was still playing catch up with my phone, and I just wasn't certain if I could make that happen. Ultimately, what we decided to do was we put a lot of money in getting the other car repaired. and it had sat so long that the insurance and the registration had expired on that vehicle. So once recovery from surgery was done, even though he was going to be able to physically drive, he wasn't going to be able to legally drive because of the insurance and the registration. And so ultimately, we opted to redirect funds to get that car up and legal, and then repay some of this other stuff at the end of the month. And I know there's going to be a lot of people who are upset that we chose to put the legality of the car over this phone bill. And that's okay. You would have made different choices. You're allowed to make different choices. This is the choice we made for our household. So I estimated I was going to be spending $1,131.13 on my bills. I did only spend $897.77 on my bills, which meant I had $233.35 left that I was able to redirect to other areas. The next thing I go over is my flexible spending, which again is my groceries, my dining out, transportation, art, and miscellaneous. I had estimated this week that I was going to have $140 a week for a total of $280 for the pay period for groceries. Ultimately, I ended up spending $189.48, which was $90.52 under the estimate. In dining out, I did not give myself any budget for dining out for this pay period, and amazingly, I was able to go this entire pay period without dining out. This is my battle week after week, month after month. You've heard me say it, it doesn't change. So I'm happy I was able to go an entire paycheck without dining out. Now, having said that, I really dropped the ball in week 2 of this month, which was in my last paycheck. And so while this part here is great and amazing, and I'd like to be able to repeat that more often than not, as far as the entirety of my August goes, this was a failure. But for this pay period, that was great. In my transportation, I estimated I would be spending $80, $40 a week. And I did only end up spending $58.16, which was $21.84 less than I had estimated. In my art, I gave myself nothing in this category for this pay period, and I spent nothing in this category for this pay period. I did consider going to purchase something. I went and I looked around, and I ultimately decided what I was looking at was not necessary. But I did need to go play that game with myself where I looked and I talked myself out of that. I'm sure I'm not the only one who needs to do that occasionally. Just go kind of reconfirm that the choices you're making are really the right choices. In my miscellaneous category, I gave myself $0. I did end up spending $50.24 in that category. And that's okay. I knew when I gave myself $0 that it was possible, it was likely I was going to have something I needed to spend. I did choose to go mail a package out of state. I could have put that off, but I felt like I had put that off enough, and if I continued putting that off, it was never ever going to get done. And this was a project that was 2.5 years overdue, and I just didn't want to put it off any longer. There was other stuff that happened here related to moving and stuff, so that's fine. I'm not upset about this red. I had estimated I would spend $360 in this flexible spending category, and I did spend $297.88, which was $62.12 less than I had estimated I would be spending in my flexible spending category. So as we carry all of these numbers down, let's take a look. I had estimated, again, $1188.45. I received $1457.83, which was $269.38 more than I thought I was going to get. In my fixed income, or fixed expenses, I had estimated I would be spending $1131.13. I spent $897.77, which was $233.35 less than I had estimated I would be spending there. In my flexible spending, I had estimated I would be spending $360. I spent $297.88, which was $62.12 less than I had estimated. So that's a lot of green happening over here. There's a lot of extra money that I have to play with this month, right? Well, not necessarily. As we go down here, you'll see I had set this estimate up at $302.68 going out more than what I was bringing in. Ultimately, I was left with $262.18, which was $564.85 more than I thought I was going to have. But I don't really have this $262. I took $350 and moved that out to pay for the insurance and to pay for the registration on that vehicle, as well as to have gasoline to put in that vehicle. So that $350 left my August income and is going to come back in my September income. And so in September, in my other category, you will see that $350 show up. This $262.82 and whatever I had left from last month overages, that all moved out. I finished out this week with one account having 40 cents and another account having 96 cents. I did not have $262.18 in any of my accounts. That had been moved out to take care of the insurance. And that doesn't show up here, but that's what I'm explaining to you guys. So tomorrow we will go over my August closeout, and the day after that we will have my month in review, positive outlook. Let's look at what things went right. And then the day after that we will go into my September setup for the month, and you will see where that $350 comes back into that account, and we get the other, all of that stuff, and my phone bill does finally get caught up. So that's where we're at. That's it for today's budgeting video. And for those of you who are here to watch the budgeting portion and are checking out right now, I want to thank you for joining me. Now what I'm going to go over is the craft that I'm choosing to bring into my channel that I'm working on for this month. In the month of August, I chose to make some pot holders and see how far I would get. My pot holders are made out of some jeans pockets, some old jeans I had harvested because I had worn a hole in the thigh, which made them unwearable, but it was a ton of still usable material that I struggled to decide to toss in the garbage. That didn't seem right to me. So I've been using them for other projects, and this month I decided I wanted to try and turn the back pockets and the coin pockets into pot holders. When I left you yesterday, all of these had been stitched and sewn, and I had tried one to make sure that they really were going to keep the heat out, and they do. And so what I needed to do last night was to cut the strips that I needed for my binding. I had done one, I had estimated the size, and it worked really well. So I cut all of the strips I was going to need at that very minimum size. I had decided I was going to do a single layer binding, which you see my attempt at here. Unfortunately, I cut it too small. So what I did is I cut all of my strips at 1 1/4 inches, and I folded over my 1/4 inch edge, and then I stitched it on the top, and then I tried to bring it over. And as you'll see, I didn't really give myself enough space, and so then I had to undo and redo and undo and redo. But you see here, I have where my zigzag stitching there is not covered. I have here where it's not covered. I need to give myself slightly thicker strips. So instead of 1 1/4, I think I'm going to do 1 3/4. So I have to go redo cutting new strips and getting my 1/4 inch seam ironed in, get all of these that I have already sewn on off. There was just this one I did almost entirely at basically a 1/2 inch, which you see here. This one I haven't taken off yet. And you see I don't have enough left to cover that side if I keep it at where I had sewn it. Do you see that? So I needed to give myself more, so I started giving myself more on this side, and that is where I ran into some problems where I wasn't getting things covered on the front here. So I decided to try and see with one more if it was just this one that I was having a problem with, or if it was all of them. So this one I did, and my first little bit comes out well, but my second little bit, I don't cover my zigzag. So I need to go readdress that, and that's what we will do tonight, is cut more strips, slightly larger, and sew them onto these, and then work at pulling these off. So I'm probably going to be, I really had high hopes that I was just going to whip right through that last night. It was going to all be done today. You know, such is life. Things never go as well or as quickly as I think they're going to go. So that is where I am at with this current project. Not quite complete, but we're not quite done with the month, and we will get, I think we will get this done by the time my next 2 videos are done with this month. We will be done with this chaos, and then it will be time to start the next project. Wherever you're at today, whatever you're doing, please have fun. Thank you so much for joining me today. Bye-bye now.